Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into what's really going on in the Rocklin, California housing market as of October 2025. So what buyers and sellers are dealing with, how things are shifting on an ongoing basis, and what that could mean for you if you're thinking about buying or selling in Rocklin. So let's jump in. So first up, we're going to look at some numbers. According to the Zillow Home Value Index for Rocklin, the typical home is now valued at $683,000. which represents a 2.2% year-over-year decline, which I thought was kind of interesting. I actually didn't expect that. Zooming in on zip code 95765 in Rocklin, Zillow reports that the typical home value is $711,000, actually almost $712,000, which is down about 2.6% year-over-year. Meanwhile, for the broader Placer County, which includes Rocklin, Zillow shows an average home value decline of about 1.3% compared to a year ago, which is down to $681,000. What this tells us, home values in Rocklin and the broader county appear to be kind of like flat to slightly down, since the last year. So not too dramatic, but not massive declines either. So more stability than wild declines or wild growth. On the listing and supply side, according to realtor.com, with their market overview for Rocklin, which is for August 2025, they update this about once a month. So I'm recording this in the end of October. So the September market overview is probably almost out. So I'll get an update out with that as well. But in August 2025 showed a median list price of just under $700,000, $699,500. which was down about 3.4% year over year. So also in that same report, the median days on market in Rocklin were all the way up to 52 days, which is up both month over month and year over year. So that's kind of interesting, to see this time of year. So homes are staying on the market a little bit longer, and listing prices are slightly weaker compared to this time last year. Again, pointing to a cooler market than like a seller frenzy mode. So here's a piece of very current local news. Luxury home builder Toll Brothers announced that its new community called Vista Oaks in Rocklin is now open as of October 11th. This is an enclave of 46 new construction homes, so not huge in terms of the number of houses. They're going to be 1 or 2 stories, 4 to 5 bedrooms, up to 4,375 square feet, at least from what I'm reading on Altos Research. Pricing is going to start about $1.1 million. A lot of Toll Brothers homes, at least from folks I've known that have bought Toll Brothers homes, sometimes people will do a lot to those. The selling price will end up being higher than that. At least from what I've seen, who knows? This community could be closer to 1.1. But what does that tell us, about the market? I think it signals that builders are still, confident enough in Rocklin's market, especially on the high end, to launch a luxury community. So there's definitely still belief in demand and value at premium price points. And for buyers, it means that new supply is entering the market, which can influence pricing and negotiation dynamics, in that higher end tier. So let's summarize the trends. So, year over year in Rocklin, home values are down about 2.2% per Zillow. In the 95765 area code, zip code, values are down 2.6% year over year. For Placer County, values are down 1.3% year over year, but Placer County goes all the way up to like Incline Village in Lake Tahoe, or just short of there on the California side. So there's a lot of different markets in there. So take the 1.3%, dip across the county kind of with a grain of salt. There's a lot of stuff that goes into that. According to realtor.com for Rocklin, the median list price was down 3.4% year over year. Days on the market was 52 days, and that's up month over month and year over year. So what this set of trends suggests is that the pace of the market has slowed. Homes are staying listed longer than they did a year ago. asking or listing prices have softened in some cases, and inventory is modest, but not ultra tight. And the fact that developers are still launching upscale projects shows that the market is not doing too bad. It's not collapsing, but it's definitely in a more balanced or buyer slightly advantaged mode than during the aggressive sellers market years of 2021, 2022. So what does this mean for you if you're a buyer or seller in Rocklin? For sellers, you're no longer guaranteed a lightning fast sale at a hefty price premium just because you list your home. Your home will need to be well priced, show well, and be marketed competitively. Because days on the market are up and listing prices are softening, buyers may feel there's more room for negotiation. Just my anecdotal take, there's a larger than usual percentage of brand new homes making up the market right now, and that's been the case for a little while. And buyers are kind of used to seeing, like picture perfect inventory, like stuff you'd see photographed in magazines, like staged really well. The paint's all, the paint's perfect still, nothing's chipped. Carpet's all in great shape, floors are in great shape because it's brand new. It's been barely trafficked. So if you want top dollar for your home, just in my opinion, you may need to be willing to fix up your house, more so than in the past. If I sold mine, though my house is, could use some modernizing, I would definitely modernize it before selling mine. Just me personally. For buyers, this is a comparatively better position than 2021 or 2022 when bidding wars were rampant. With homes, staying longer, there's a little more time to, evaluate options, maybe negotiate and not feel, forced into overpaying. That said, this isn't a buyer's flood market either. Demand remains, especially in desirable neighborhoods or, newer builds. So if you have to act smart, get pre-approved, pick your neighborhoods carefully, decide, kind of like your must-haves list, but, get ready to actually go and act. And then take the new Vista Oaks community from Toll Brothers, for example. Even though pricing is at the luxury level of 1.1 million plus, it shows that builders believe high-end buyers are still active. So in the mid and upper tiers, competition still exists. You won't necessarily get, just throw something in and they'll accept it type of deals, but there is more negotiation space than, during peak frenzy. So, based on what we're seeing in Rocklin right now, here's kind of where I think things will go in the next 12 months. This is kind of my reasonable projection, but obviously you should do your own research. This is not meant to be financial advice for you specifically or anybody. It's meant to be, entertainment. So, go do your own research. Don't just rely on the theories from one person or even a couple of people on YouTube. Do your own research. So I expect homes in Rocklin to remain relatively flat to modestly positive. Maybe in the ballpark of like 1% to 3% over the next year, going probably up is my opinion. Not so much big jumps, but just kind of steady increases. The reason being is that demand is stable, but it's not surging. Inventory is moderate. And external factors like interest rates and economic conditions will moderate growth. Then on the supply side, with new construction like Vista Oaks, entering the luxury segment, we may see slight upward pressure on inventory in certain tiers, which could put a little downward drift or at least a cap on how much prices can rise in those segments. Days on market will likely continue to stay in the 45 to 60 day range in many neighborhoods rather than like ultra fast sales. I think we're kind of past that at this point. So expect more time to evaluate offers as buyer, and slightly longer selling times if you're a seller. Be willing to be patient, in my opinion. And then for buyers, in the next few months, kind of late fall, early winter, that may be a particularly comfortable window to act. inventory's a bit better, competition slightly lower. If you might lock in a home before any potential uptick in mortgage rates or return to tighter conditions. And then for sellers, if your home is in good condition and in a desirable neighborhood with, things like strong school districts, which is that's pretty important in Rocklin. Rocklin has really good schools, at least the ones that I have seen. Newer builds or newer amenities. Listing sooner rather than later, I think could make sense, because while the market isn't collapsing, the window of ultra strong seller leverage is probably past us, in my opinion, at least for the time being. So is now a good time to buy in Rocklin? My view is yes, if you're financially ready. Again, it's my opinion. But if you have, financing in place, contingencies cleared, and you're buying for the medium to long term, like, 5-10 years or more, I think you'll face fewer bidding wars right now, and you have some room to negotiate. But, don't expect wild appreciation in the short term. Again, my opinion, but, think of it as a steady investment rather than a quick flip. So, all right, that covers our update for the Rocklin housing market. If you're thinking about buying or selling in the area, talk to a local agent who's plugged into the kind of the micro neighborhood outlook where you're looking, for example, Whitney Ranch versus Central Rocklin versus older neighborhoods, to, just kind of help you understand exactly how these broader trends might apply to your target. So, that's my recommendation. I am not a realtor, so I'm not, pressing that one way or another, but as someone who's invested in a number of homes and purchased a number of homes in the broader Sacramento area and other, large markets, I have always found value in working with a good realtor. I think I've saved a lot more money by negotiating good deals than I've spent on fees. Just me personally. But you can obviously do what you want. But yeah, if you found this video helpful, please hit the like button, subscribe, leave a comment below if you want me to dive deeper into any specific submarkets in Rocklin. So yeah, thanks for watching, and see you next time.